Hello everyone, and welcome to our Week 5 Team Builder for Season 2 of the CGC Draft League. So our opponent this week is going to be great friend Mike ABC, who is the coach of the New England Nidokings. So Mike is a newcomer to the coaches of Season 2, however he's not completely new to Draft League because he was on Garby's team as front office last year. And funnily enough, Garby took the back seat this year, and now Mike is the leading man. So yeah, they've kind of swapped roles because we've got Garby on the front office instead. So yeah, that's very cool. I'm glad to have them both involved. So yeah, this team is scary, as is for every team in the league. I just sound like a broken record at this point, but like it's a hard trick room team, and unlike when other teams may be going for a more balanced approach to draft, what a hard trick room team often does for you is it allows you to get the perfect pieces, because sometimes the trick room mons you are going for aren't really things other teams are looking for, so you often get really optimal pieces for your team. And then they slapped a rain mode on there as well, which I'm curious if there's any inspiration off of my own experimentation in VGC Series 1 of Scarlet and Violet, because I was trying out Pelipper on Rain Team, like the Rain Room, and it was actually kind of decent. So, because traditionally you kind of go for the more Sun Room approach, but yeah, the Pelipper plus Trick Room mode seems to go pretty hard. So, yeah, it's no surprise that they went for this, to be honest. Like, Garby and Mike are Trick Room setters at heart, so yeah, I saw this one coming, but yeah, very cool. I did say it's going to be our Week 5 match. I could swear this was our Week 6 match, but apparently it's Week 5. I checked the schedule more recently, and yeah, this is our Week 5 match, so apologies for leading anyone astray on that, but I guess it's no biggie, it's just a number after all. So let's get right into this. I'll go over Mike's team, and then I'll be going over what I'm believes give us our best chance at countering it, which definitely took a lot of time to figure out the best team for it this week, because like our first draft did not go so well. There was a couple modes on this team that was destroying us, so yeah. So I believe it was Frigiraf that was the number 1 pick, although I could be wrong. No, I am wrong, it was Pelipper, I believe. Pelipper was the round 1 pick, so yeah. We might have tiered Pelipper wrong, to be honest, because we put it in B, and then it was kind of popping off at a couple of the regionals. Like, I knew it was good because I myself was testing it, but it didn't feel quite as good as like the A-tier weather setters like Tyranitar and Torkoal, I guess. But yeah, like very smart pickup, just scooping up the rain mode immediately. And then I believe Frigiraf was the second pick. So yeah, solid mons overall. Pelipper, like, it's not too... there's not, like, you kind of know what it's going to do. You're going to expect kind of 5 or 6 moves from it, whether it be like Hydro Pump, Hurricane, Wide Guard, Tailwind, Protect, maybe another cute move here or there, but like it's pretty standard what it does, but it's got a really great toolkit overall. 65 speed, like it's that kind of middle ground where you can either go fast with the Tailwind or keep to the slow pace that the rest of the team is trying to do. So yeah, really solid overall. Water Flying is a pretty good typing overall, and adding a weather to the team immediately often allows you to get some great synergies going on. It opens the team up to a lot of different choices and such, so yeah, very smart pick for round 1. Frigiraf was next, of course. I mean, this one is awesome. I'm so glad that Giraffe got an evolution. It's got great offense overall with I believe it's 110 special attack. Like that, like for a good Trick Room setter, like it can definitely hit hard as well, so you don't always have to go like the Trick Room defensive mode. You can also run Throat Spray with it with the Hyper Voice, which is great as a stab for it. It gets so many good moves, of course, like it's Giraffe Rig, so like, you know, it's getting a lot. I feel like a lot of the older Gemmons tend to have a lot of coverage overall, so, and not just coverage, but in terms of like type effectiveness, it gets some interesting tools like Nasty Plot, Calm Mind, Beat Up. I don't know if Beat Up is really particularly useful for this team, but yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. So the typing is pretty good overall. It's pretty good into the fact that we have 2 ghosts up top with a Golden Go and Annihilate, so kind of hard to hit it really well without like a bit of setup with those mons. So yeah, I could definitely see this one coming against us. In terms of like, I feel like we can definitely take damage from it well with some mons, but yeah, we just gotta be careful that this isn't the enabler for the rest of the team for things like Iron Hands, because yeah, Iron Hands, the other A tier that Mike picked up, is incredibly scary. Like, this thing's been popping off in VGC to no surprise. It's just got insane stats, incredible HP, great attack, solid defense, and then a special defense which is not horrible, considering that you can just run Assault Vest and patch it up, and then you've just got like one of the bulkiest mons in the game. So yeah, you also got Fake Out, which is an excellent tool in VGC as a whole, and particularly good on a potential Trick Room team, so you got some way to enable setup on that. And then outside of that, like, even though it kind of just often just goes for its fighting electric coverage, it can do other things too. It's got access to all the punches, I believe, so like fire and ice punch. You can do heavy slam. It's a good use of terror as well, and you can also do setup with sword stance and belly drum, which is very scary, especially if you've got tools to help around it, which Mike does, because Toadstool was picked up. That is a great redirector. It's kind of a bit on the speedy side, which I think is honestly pretty great for draft. It allows it to kind of thrive where it might not do so well in regular VGC, because as a Trick Room setter, it's kind of awkward to run that much speed, but allows you to be a lot more flexible in draft. So yeah, Ground Grass, a really cool and unique typing, and a very unique ability too in Mycelium Might, which is kind of trouble for our team this week, because we have a lot of ways to get ourselves immune to any spores through our abilities on our team, but when that's being ignored through the Mycelium Might, that's kind of a problem. So yeah, I do highly expect this one to come as well. As for the other tools it gets, I mean, you've got Rage Powder, like I mentioned. That's great redirection right there. It's kind of rare to have them on like redirection and Trick Room. Let's just ignore the Indeedee mistake this generation, but you know. And okay, like it's the same stats as Tentacruel, so like for a ground type, it's got really good special defense. So yeah, really cool toolkit overall. You've also got Acid Spray, which I think is, of course, hilarious, considering the Tentacruel running joke I've been going on for like 2 generations at this point, because Tentacruel used to get Acid Spray, and they took it away in Gen 8, and now that's been dexited for this gen so far, and we've got Toadstool with the Acid Spray, so yeah, real funny Game Freak. We've got Dreadnought next. Honestly, I think this is, like, the rain mode is what I'm most scared of for this team. Pelipper and Dreadnought are really, really hard to deal with for my team, I feel. Like, I don't really have many mons that resist water. Like, I think, is it just Noivern? And that's kind of like a bit on the frailer side overall, so yeah, I'm gonna have to like I had to really come up with a more thought out strategy to deal with just rain boosted attacks here, because it's gonna just run through my team if I'm not careful. So yeah, these are the main 2 that were giving me trouble when I was trying to figure out my own team. It's just like such a good offensive mon. Like, you've got decent speed, enough to jump anything you want really in rain, and then you've got a great attack stat, and I think it gets better in this gen compared to its debut generation of Gen 8, because there's no awkward typings and such with the Dynamax stuff. So yeah, just you can just go hard with Liquidation or Waterfall, Rock Slide, which is always tough to deal with if you haven't got any counterplay to get flinched to death. And you can also run a great coverage move as well, like Terra Blast is totally viable in Dreadnought, it has room for that. You can run Ice Spinner, it even gets Shell Smash, which with the redirection support of Toadstool is very scary. I don't really expect Shell Smash to be ran, because it kind of can be awkward to set up, I guess, but overall, like, Dreadnought's a very scary Pokemon, and definitely the best Rain Abuser, I think, that Mike could have picked out from the B tier. So yeah, we've got a bunch of other cool mons in the lower tiers. I believe Magneton and Honchkrow are the most, oh, excuse me. Oh, that was my throat going crazy there, wasn't it? Yes, we've got Magneton and Honchkrow that are probably the ones I expect to see them most likely. Honchkrow is pretty good into our team, because again, we have like the dual ghost types at the top there, and overall just Dark and Flying has great offensive coverage into my team overall. I don't know what kind of set it'd run, but you'd expect kind of some kind of physical set, I guess, so Sucker Punch is very likely. You could even run like a crit set, because it gets super luck, that's kind of cool. Yeah, solid one overall. It also gives, like, you're doubling up on like a couple typings here with like the flying type and such, but honestly, like, it really helps with some of the weaknesses to like ground that the rest of the team has, and like usually getting another flying type doesn't hurt by any means. So yeah, solid one overall. It's also got Insomnia if it's trying to counterplay my Venomoth, I guess, so that's kind of cool. Probably not the best mod to be doing it, but you know, it's an option. Then we've got Magneton, which is honestly a great mon overall. It's a shame that Magnapool doesn't trap Golden Go in VGC. Fortunate for me, because of I'm the one running it. But yeah, that Ghost typing does override any steel trapping, which is kind of a shame. It'd be cool if it did override the Ghost typing there, but unfortunately that's not the case. So you've got a Sturdy and an Analytic as good useful abilities for it, and an Analytic like goes so hard. Like, I know the power of the Magnemite line from VGC this year, and any Analytic boosted attack from this line is going to do a lot of damage, so yeah, got to be very careful of that. It hasn't got too much in coverage, but in a meta where you can just Terror into a type and get the coverage of your choice, that's pretty solid for it. So yeah, cool mon. You can run Evilite on it as well. I believe it's the only Evilite user on the team, so yeah, there's no overlap there. I can definitely see this putting in work. We've got Appleton as well. Definitely a mon that I had my eyes on as well, so I was kind of gutted to see this go in the C tier, because it was kind of the last grass type that I believe was viable for us, based on the picks we had available in the late draft. Really cool mon overall. It's got Apple Acid, which is a cool exclusive move. That can lower the special defense of any mon that it targets, and when you've got quite a few special attackers like the Magneton and the Pelipper and Frigiraf, like, that can stack quite nicely. It's got Leech Seed for some annoying stall tactics as well, kind of just, you know, stalling out your own mons and stepping the HP back. You've got Iron Defense and Body Press as a viable set for it. You can get really cute with some berry sets, whether it be through Ripen or Gluttony on this mon. I think Ripen is a very cool ability and heavily underexplored because of just the fact it's not on the mon that you see the most in VGC. And then you've also got Thick Fat, which is a great ability for it, even though like, you've already resist, or you're neutral to fire, like basically giving yourself a fire resistance on like a grass type. That's really cool, and, you know, stopping the ice weaknesses from being too crippling, that's awesome for it. And then of course you've got Terra types as well to worry about with it. So yeah, bulky mon that I believe we have enough tools to break through, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, solid overall. And then we've got the D tiers to round out the team, being Flareon and Muck. Now Flareon is kind of, I'm glad they might picked up a fire type, because it definitely gives a bit of nuance to the team, because you don't always want to be going the rain mode, and that's why I don't really expect Flareon to be used into us, because I think the rain mode is just too good, and bringing Flareon when trying to manage it with the rain might be a bit awkward. But hey, you can always bring it as like an alternate mode, you know. So yeah, this thing, like, whether it be through Toxic or even Flame Orb, if it terrors, like, that Guts ability is going to be very powerful combined with the Flare Blitz and Facade. I believe it gets other few interesting moves like Iron Tail as well, and it's a Levolution, so, you know, you've got your Yawn, you've got your Tickle, you know, there's a few fun interesting moves there. Curse is honestly quite viable on Flareon as well, especially considering the Trick Room mode that Mike's got going, so yeah, that's cool. And then we've got Mike. We have got Mike. We've also got Muck. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Muck is it's kind of an interesting one in that it's got, like, again, low speed, so that's kind of nice for it, and great bulk overall. And if you're running something like, I believe, Poison Touch, it gets, like, being able to poison mons and just stop you from sitting there and doing a lot of residual damage over time, that thing, I feel like it's kind of a sleeper threat. So yeah, I should definitely watch out for Muck, especially because I am bringing Gardevoir this week without a Psychic stab, because I don't really expect Muck to be brought, considering I just think all the other options are better. But, like, if Muck is brought, it's a totally viable option to our team. So yeah, that is Mike's team right there. Solid stuff overall. Let's get into what we're running though. I'm actually I order my mons via, like, the tier they're in, of course, but I'm actually going right into the middle here, because I think to explain the thought process for my team, starting with Noivern and Gardevoir in the middle is the most important, because these two are going to be the stars. These two are everything this week, and I'd be very surprised if I find a match where I don't lead these two always. So very cool set here. We've got Choice Scarf, we've got the Frisk, of course, and then we've got Hurricane, Draco Meteor, Air Cutter, and Sunny Day. So this Noivern set, it's Choice Scarf allows it to outspeed Jolly, max speed Dreadnought in rain, as you may have guessed there. So the idea behind this is that the rain mode is so scary that I need to counter that weather with my own. So running Sunny Day Noivern with Scarf should guarantee us to override the weather if we wish to on turn 1, assuming the rain is led. So yeah, that's super nice. Noivern itself, we don't really often get to run, like, a nice powerful flying stab on it, but now we're actually up against rain. We can abuse the rain as well if we wish to, so Hurricane's a great stab for it. Draco Meteor not bad into any target that may resist flying, other than, I guess, Magneton. It's just a all around stab. And then we also got Air Cutter, so the idea behind this is that, like, sometimes, especially when there's a few mind games that protects and such, being able to just lock yourself into Air Cutter covers any protect option if you're just trying to get damage on any mon, whether it be, like, weaken down or you're trying to break a sash or something. It's just, like, a good spread move to click, and surprisingly, I found him prepping it actually is quite useful, so that's quite nice. We've got enough HP to survive a Life Orb Adamant Rock Slide, I believe, from Dreadnought, and then the rest in the offense is a special attack. So I was tempted to go, like, I had a Noivern at one point that was enough to outspeed Adamant with Swift Swim Dreadnought, but I just want to guarantee we outspeed, because while I'm pretty sure Mike will be going for the Adamant Dreadnought, if he does for some reason run a Jolly one, then our plans could get screwed over massively. So it's very important that we outspeed it, guaranteed. So yeah, that's the idea behind that. And then we've got Gardevoir next to that. So we've got Moonblast, Grass Knot, Terra Blast with the Ground Terror, and Protect. Now, the key thing here is Trace. So assuming a rain lead, if we get to Trace Swift Swim, that puts so much momentum into our position. It allows us to thrive in the rain. We can threaten a Grass Knot KO on Dreadnought. We could also do massive damage with Moonblast into most of Mike's team. There's not really much that really takes a Moonblast well. Like, you've got Muck and then, of course, Magneton. But that's kind of why we're running the Terra Blast this week, because even though God of War isn't running out much bulk, it's the reason to run an offensive Terra. Like, I believe like Fairy Ground is one of the best offensive typings in the entire game. There's probably a reason we still haven't got that as like a dual type non yet, because it's just so good. So yeah, having Fairy Ground coverage if we choose the Terra is excellent. I did go back and forth on whether I wanted a different move over Grass Knot for this week, but I just having a move, I should say, that immediately KOs Dreadnought without having to force a Terra out of us, like in the Terra Blast. It's really nice. But yeah, with the Trace and such, it is of course a 50-50, but there's no guarantee of tracing the Swift Swim. If we do get Drizzle, then it's kind of a mode where like we can just click Sunny Day at that point. Disconnected? Well, that's awkward. That's fine. I never had that happen during this. Okay, where was I? Wow, way to interrupt me. How rude. But yes, so the idea really, like, if we trace Drizzle, then it's fine, because we'll just say no one can have the rain. We can just Sunny Day at that point, which is super nice to have. But then, of course, if we do trace the system, then it allows us more flexibility to just go on with the offense of Noivern and Gardevoir, because we'll be outspeeding the Dreadnought most likely if we do get Swift Swim. So it's not just the rain mode that Trace could be good for, because say we lead, like, I don't know, Mike leads Iron Hands for Ridgerath or something, then because Trace cannot copy Quark Drive, that means we're guaranteed to copy for Ridgerath's ability. And while Armor Tail isn't guaranteed from Mike, I do think other abilities could be useful for him this week. Like, if we do trace the Armor Tail, then that means no Fake Out for Mike. Like, it allows us to just attack without fear of that flinch. So yeah, that's really nice. There could be other few niche situations that Trace is useful for, but yeah, it's just like a really solid one this week. So yeah, they got the enough speed to jump Adamant max speed Dreadnought, providing the Sun's Up, or we've got our own Swift Swim from the tracing and such. So yeah, even though I decided to guarantee like the Jolly Dreadnought with the Noivern speed, I didn't want to mess with Gardevoir and go timid, because I do like the damage that Modest provides. So yeah, that's that. I think I'd never touched on the Ghost Terror with Noivern. It's just to basically avoid Fake Out situations if I'm in that position. I don't really expect to go for it unless it like seems like the perfect position to, like, say we've got the speed control, Iron Hands coming in, and it's a pretty obvious Fake Out coming our way, and we threaten a KO or something with like a Hurricane or whatever, then hell yeah, I'm going to Terror and get the Hurricane KO, you know? So yeah, that's that. Let's go back to the A tiers now. So we've got Golden Go here, got Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Nasty Plot, and Protect. A lot of bulk this week. I was looking at calcs, and I realised that we didn't really need too much offense on Golden Go to get the KOs we're looking for. So yeah, a lot of physical bulk is nice to just take hits from Iron Hands, because that thing's probably going to be what hits us the hardest on the team. We've got the Dragon Terror, because, like, even though I've got a good plan into the rain mode, if I do find myself out positioned, then it's important to have backup plans, and at least resisting water with some of our Terror types is very important this week, I find. So yeah, it's just a good type that resists a lot of what Mike's trying to do here. He's got a lot of elemental types, whether it be you know, the water spam. We've also got like a few electric threats in Magneton and Iron Hands. So yeah, having the dragon typing seemed like the kind of perfect Terror type this week for that. We could also run Grass, of course, which would be nice into Toadscrawl, of course, for the immunity to Spore, because Good as Gold is not saving us from that Spore from the Mycelium Mite. But it does make us also weak to flying, and I do not like leaving us vulnerable to Hurricane spam from Pelipper, especially because Golden Go, while it can definitely two-shot the Pelipper, assuming it's not incredibly orky, which I don't expect it to be with Shadow Ball, like, it's still something I don't want to be taking massive hits from. So I was really wanted to fit Recover on this week, but I think it forced me to play too defensively with it in practice. Like, it'd be Recover over Protect at that point, and then I'd often just Recover when maybe I just want to be looking to get damage off, and maybe it's just safer to protect you from any damage rather than just trying to heal off any damage that may be done to you. So, and that's kind of why we're running the Citrus Berry, because I still want a little bit of recovery. So yeah, that's the idea behind that. I didn't really think the speed was necessary. We're up against a Trick Room team, so even though the rain mode is there to worry about, I do think that just having more on the bulk is important. So yeah, it's even though it's hard to really say how much damage some of the physical mons we're doing, I think like our physical bulk should allow us to not really be too shot by anything unless it's super effective. So yeah, that's nice. Well, outside of the liquidation from Dreadnought, that's definitely two shot us if we're outside of, or if we're in the rain. But you know, that's one thing there. To be honest, I don't really see Golden Go being like the best mon this week, because Mike definitely has a good few tools to deal with, like make it rain spam. You got the Frigiraf, so you know it's hard to really break it if I don't allow myself to get set up. And I think it might be hard to find myself in a position to set up effectively, but you know, it's Golden Go, it's still a solid mon, and it's good to have on the team just in case I do see a scenario where it pops off well. So yeah, that's Golden Go. We've got Annihilate here, also sharing the Terra Dragon, because they feel very similar in role this week, in that they're kind of just like the good stuff mons that are fairly bulky and can do good damage back overall. But Annihilate, I'd argue, is even more effective than Golden Go, just because of the moves it has, allows it to deal big damage very quickly without having to set up. So we've got Low Kick, Rage Fist, Ice Punch, Protect. A little spicy this week. Running the Safety Goggles. Safety Goggles, the main reason for that is because of the Toad Scroll, of course. Just being Spore Immune is really nice for us, and without it we haven't got any base one that can even take spores, so yeah, it's definitely a threat for sure. We've got Low Kick because it does great damage into Iron Hands. I believe it's like the max power, like 120, so it's basically close combat without any drawback into that mon, which is great. It does great damage into Frigiraf, because that mon's actually pretty heavy. I think it's like hits for 100. Magneton takes a decent amount from it, like it's hits for an 80 base power move there, so very similar to Drain Punch. So, and the most important reason I think we're running Low Kick is because of the Dreadnought, because Dreadnought is also somewhat heavy, and it Low Kick is base 100 power. So that means we can always get a Low Kick KO, assuming there's no Terror or anything like that. So yeah, that's the main appeal of running Low Kick over Drain Punch this week, because Drain Punch is just not getting the KOs we're looking for. And then we've got Rage Fist there. If we do take a couple of attacks, it's a great attack to just finish off some targets. And Ice Punch mainly for the Toad Scroll as well. Annihilate's kind of our best answer to Toad Scroll if need be, so if the Toad Scroll is very physically bulky, then Ice Punch may not be able to one-shot, but it's still a great option to have to threaten it very quickly and stop it from being able to maybe sport all the rest of our mons. So yeah, we also got Inner Focus, which is cool. You don't often see Inner Focus on Annihilate, but it actually seems optimal this week, because Vital Spirit, once again, is not helping us against the Mycelium Mite Spores. But Inner Focus, on the other hand, allows us to maybe get around potential flinches from like a Rock Slide on Dreadnought. So yeah, this could be useful, or even a Waterfall. I feel like Liquidation's more likely, but Waterfall's totally valid on Dreadnought if you're just going for the flinch chance over the maximum power. So yeah, Inner Focus covers that option. And then we've also got, and then I was looking at Defiant and such, and I just didn't really see there being many situations where Defiant comes up. So yeah, Inner Focus it is. We've got Avalugg. It's the debut of the table at last. I'm so happy. So Avalugg was very interesting this week, because I had an idea for it that was kind of like an Assault Vest set with own tempo, and then running like Swagger on Annihilate to like side give yourself the +2, you know, but it's just so awkward. I found in practice it was just not working out. So yeah, that's I did die very quickly, and I was very sad, because I was like, wait, Avalugg's I really was like waiting to use the table for week 5, because I knew, like, looking at the weeks and such, that Avalugg might finally have its time to shine in this week, and then having the idea just fall flat was like so heartbreaking. But then over the time of prepping and testing stuff, we realised that Avalugg can still be good with this set, being Ice Spinner, Body Press, Iron Defense, and Protect, which I think is what kind of you expect from an Avalugg if you do see it, so it makes sense in the end. I was just worried that the poor special defense it has would leave it very vulnerable to some of the special attackers on Mike's team, but, you know, like, if you put max special defense on it, it honestly takes it somewhat well, and the Terra type helps really nicely against some of the bigger threats overall. So that being the Magneton and the Pelipper, I'd say. Like, if we've been able to avoid Hurricane damage is nice, and then being able to wall Magneton with the electric and steel stabs it has is kind of nice as well. We've got the leftovers. It's just a great item to run on a set like this, and then of course the Iron Defense Body Press is notoriously good for just setting up, taking hits, and just walling a team, and then just body pressing things to death in the end. And we've got Ice Spinner still, because it's good into Toad Scroll, and it also means that if there is any Terra Ghost, which I definitely think is possible with Mike's team because of the final Gambit threat we have from Annihilate, it's definitely a thing I can see people running against us. It's just nice to have an option to still hit something for damage. So yeah, I did consider Recover on Avalugg, but I just feel like these 4 moves were the best overall, because even though recover can be ran, like you've already got the leftovers, and I didn't want to give up any other moves. So we've got own tempo as well, but because of the hurricane from Palepa, like it stops us from being able to get confused, which is really nice to have. Sturdy definitely could be something we ran, we run, I should say, but it's just something that I feel is not going to be necessary. Like, I'd be surprised if Avalog ever gets in a position where it's one shot this week, so I don't think Sturdy's important. Famous last words. If you do get one shot, then rip, I guess. I made a mistake, I messed up, whatever. Another thing about Avalog, just outside of like the set itself, but it's also like I do worry that Toadscrew's going to mess us up pretty badly this week with spores and such if we're not careful, so just having another Mon just straight up on team preview that might deter the Toadscrew from coming is something I'd like to see, because not having to deal with it makes my life a lot easier, to be honest. So yeah, hopefully Avalok can pop off this week. And then we've got Skuntank to round off the team. We've got Foul Play, Fire Spin, Toxic and Protect. So very bulky set overall, very annoying. Foul Play just seemed like the best all-around stab. It's good into Dreadnought, can do good damage to Iron Hands, especially if it goes for like a Terror type. Not even bad damage into Farigiraf either, because that thing has base 90 attacks is not bad by any means. And then Fire Spin Toxic is definitely a toxic set, you could say. The idea is to just toxic things and possibly even trap them in with Fire Spin. Just get a lot of residual damage. The Rocket Helmet is excellent into Iron Hands as well, if it dares to touch us with Fake Out, Wild Charge, Close Combat, Drain Punch, whatever it's going to do. Like, it's going to be taking lots of damage through the Rocky Helmet and potential residual from Toxic and Fire Spin potentially, especially if it gets a KO. Like, we'll probably be bringing it down with us. Aftermath is just, plus the Rocky Helmet is just going to do so much damage to it, so that's really nice. Terra Grass is the most optimal Terra, I think, on Skuntank, because even though, of course, it does leave us vulnerable to hurricanes and such, I don't really think Skuntank's winning against Pelipper anyway. That's not its role to beat the Pelipper. So yeah, it just seemed like the optimal Terra to maybe not lose to Toadscrew. Allows us to resist the Earth Powers or Giga Drains, whatever it's going for, and be immune to Spore, of course. And then, of course, resist Water as well. Any Terra type that resists Water is nice. I decided on Electric was okay for Avalog, because the main water damage I'm worried about with Avalog is, of course, from Dreadnought, but because you've got such sky-high defense, I can kind of tolerate the water neutrality, I guess you could say, with the Electric. So yeah, that's the main idea. Like, Fire Spin, even though like I may be playing in the rain, I'm not clicking that move for initial damage, I'm looking at it for the residual, of course. And if I do get something poisoned, then that's a great way to trap it. I do feel like Toxic can be quite good against Trick Room teams overall, because a lot of the time they kind of just want to sit there in the Trick Room and just go for crazy damage. But if you put them on a timer, it definitely puts a lot of pressure on overall. So yeah, that is the team. Very excited for this match overall. We've worked very hard on the team, so I'm really hoping at least some of these ideas work out very nicely, especially these two. Like, I really would love to see the Trace pop off, or even if it, as well as Sunny Day, because, you know, just being able to reveal the Sunny Day mid-match is always a fun thing to do. So yeah, thank you very much for watching the Teambuilder video for this week, and I really hope you join me for our Week 5 match against Mike. So yeah, take care everyone.